Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Days of Our Lives' latest news updates. Salem is once again on the brink of chaos as long-buried secrets claw their way to the surface, threatening to destroy relationships, rewrite alliances, and change lives forever. The week ahead promises emotional confrontations, dangerous revelations, and moments that will leave no one untouched. In true Days of Our Lives fashion, the line between love and betrayal grows thinner by the day, and loyalty becomes the ultimate test of survival. As the week begins, tension hangs heavy in the air. Characters who once felt safe behind half-truths and silent agreements begin to realize that the past never stays buried in Salem. A single secret, whispered at the wrong moment, sets off a chain reaction that ripples through families and friendships alike. Trust, once broken, proves nearly impossible to repair, and those who believed they were in control soon find themselves exposed. One major storyline centers on a character who has been carrying a devastating truth, one that could shatter multiple lives if revealed. For weeks, guilt has eaten away at them, and now the pressure becomes unbearable. When they finally crack, the confession doesn't just hurt one person, it detonates like a bomb, leaving shock and disbelief in its wake. The fallout forces loved ones to question everything they thought they knew, including whether forgiveness is even possible. Meanwhile, loyalties are tested as characters are forced to choose sides. Standing by the truth may mean betraying someone they love, while staying silent could cost them their integrity. Salem becomes divided as alliances shift in unexpected ways. Friends become enemies, enemies find common ground, and motives are no longer as clear as they once seemed. Every decision feels like a gamble, and the consequences are immediate and severe. Romance also finds itself under siege. Couples who once believed their love could conquer anything now face doubts fueled by secrets and lies. A moment of hesitation, a look held too long, or a confession overheard changes the course of relationships that once seemed unbreakable. Some couples fight desperately to hold on, while others realize that love built on deception cannot survive the truth. At the same time, danger lurks beneath the surface. A character driven by desperation takes a reckless step, convinced that controlling the narrative is the only way to survive. But in Salem, control is an illusion. The more they manipulate, the closer they come to being exposed. This risky behavior puts innocent people in harm's way and raises the stakes to life-altering levels. By the end of the week, one decision could mean the difference between redemption and ruin. Family dynamics are pushed to their limits as well. Old wounds reopen and long-standing resentments resurface with renewed intensity. Parents and children clash over choices made in the name of love or protection, while siblings find themselves on opposite sides of an emotional battlefield. The question of whether blood truly runs thicker than betrayal hangs over every interaction as the week unfolds. Salem witnesses moments of raw emotion, tearful confrontations, silent realizations, and explosive arguments that can no longer be avoided. Some characters finally find the courage to stand up for themselves, even if it means walking away from everything they once held dear. Others double down on their lies, refusing to accept responsibility until it's far too late. By the end of the week, nothing is the same. Secrets that once held power lose their grip, while new truths emerge, setting the stage for even greater turmoil ahead. Loyalties have been tested, and not everyone passes. Some bonds are strengthened through honesty and sacrifice, while others are irreparably broken. Salem is left reeling, forever changed by the choices made and the truths revealed. And as always in Days of Our Lives, just when it seems the dust has settled, a final twist reminds everyone that in Salem, the story is never truly over. New secrets are already forming, new betrayals waiting in the shadows, and the next chapter promises even more heartbreak, passion, and shocking revelations. As the dust begins to settle from the initial shock, Salem quickly learns that the true damage of a secret is not in its revelation, but in what comes after. The days following the exposure are filled with uneasy silences, fractured conversations, and a growing sense that nothing can ever return to the way it was before. Characters who once felt confident in their choices now find themselves questioning every decision that led them here. The emotional fallout deepens as those betrayed struggle to process what they've learned. Anger gives way to hurt, and hurt slowly transforms into something far more dangerous. Apologies are offered, but not all of them are accepted. In Salem, forgiveness is never guaranteed, and some wounds cut too deep to heal quickly. Every interaction is charged with unspoken pain, making even the simplest conversation feel like a confrontation waiting to happen. At the same time, the person responsible for the secret's exposure faces consequences they never fully anticipated. What they believed would bring relief only creates isolation. Friends keep their distance, trust is withdrawn, and the weight of guilt becomes heavier than ever. For the first time, they are forced to confront the reality that telling the truth does not always mean being forgiven. Redemption, if it comes at all, will require far more than words. Elsewhere in Salem, shifting loyalties begin to reveal who people truly are when pressure mounts. Some characters step up in unexpected ways, offering support where none was expected. Others, however, choose self-interest over loyalty, quietly aligning themselves with whoever holds the most power. These subtle betrayals may go unnoticed for now, but their impact will be felt in the weeks to come. Romantic relationships continue to suffer under the strain. Trust, once cracked, proves difficult to rebuild, and doubt lingers even in moments of intimacy. Couples attempt to move forward, but the shadow of past deception follows them closely. A single misunderstanding threatens to undo any progress made, leaving both partners wondering whether love is enough to survive the truth. Danger also escalates as unresolved tensions push one character toward another risky decision. Fear of losing everything drives them to take matters into their own hands, unaware that their actions are being watched. This move sets off a new chain of events, one that places multiple lives on a collision course. What was once an emotional battle now edges closer to real and irreversible consequences. Family conflicts reach new levels. As blame is passed and old arguments resurface, long-held beliefs are challenged and the idea of protecting family at all costs is put to the test. Some choose honesty over harmony, while others cling to denial in hopes of preserving what little remains. These choices redefine family bonds, proving that love does not always mean agreement. As the week draws to a close, Salem stands at a crossroads. The truth has been revealed, but its consequences are far from over. New questions emerge, new suspicions take hold, and the sense of stability continues to crumble. Characters are left to face the reality that the hardest part was never keeping the secret. It was surviving what came after, and just when it seems the worst has passed. One final moment hints that another revelation is waiting in the shadows. A look, a pause, a conversation cut to short serves as a reminder that in days of our lives, peace is temporary and secrets are never truly gone. Salem moves forward, forever changed as loyalties remain fragile and the next storm quietly begins to form. As Salem edges closer to the breaking point, the consequences of the truth can no longer be contained. What began as whispered suspicion has now evolved into open confrontation, and the emotional cost is higher than anyone anticipated. The weight of past decisions presses down on every character, forcing them to face not only what they've done, but who they've become in the process. Those who were once silent are no longer willing to stay that way. Confrontations unfold with raw intensity as buried feelings finally spill out into the open. Words meant to heal instead reopen wounds, and attempts at reconciliation are met with hesitation and doubt. In Salem, trust is fragile, and once it's broken, rebuilding it requires more than promises, it demands sacrifice. The ripple effects of the exposed secret begin to reach places no one expected. Allies start questioning their own positions, wondering if loyalty was misplaced from the very beginning. Some realize too late that defending the wrong person has cost them credibility and respect. Others find themselves standing alone, abandoned by those they believed would never turn their backs. The line between right and wrong blurs, leaving everyone to decide where they truly stand. Romantic relationships reach a critical crossroads. For some couples, this is the moment that defines whether their love is strong enough to endure the truth. Painful conversations take place, filled with uncertainty and fear of what the future holds. For others, the damage is simply too great. Letting go becomes the only option, even when love still remains. In Salem, heartbreak is often the price of honesty. Meanwhile, the danger hinted at earlier finally comes into focus. A reckless choice made in desperation begins to spiral out of control, pulling innocent people into its path. What was once an emotional conflict now threatens real-world consequences, raising the stakes to a level that cannot be ignored. Time runs out as characters scramble to prevent a situation from turning tragic. Knowing that one wrong move could change lives forever, family ties are tested in ways that reveal long-hidden truths. Generations clash as old secrets resurface alongside new ones, forcing families to confront patterns of behavior passed down over time. Some finally break free from the cycle, choosing honesty and accountability over silence. Others repeat the same mistakes, proving that history in Salem has a way of repeating itself. As the story reaches its emotional peak, Salem is left standing in the aftermath of irreversible choices. Some characters find clarity in the chaos, discovering strength they never knew they had. Others are left to face the consequences alone, realizing too late that control was never truly theirs. The truth has done its damage, and there is no undoing what has been set in motion. In the final moments, the pace slows just enough to let the weight of everything sink in. Relationships are forever altered, loyalties remain uncertain, and the future feels more unpredictable than ever. And yet, as always, in Days of Our Lives, the story refuses to end quietly. A final glance, a subtle exchange, or an unanswered question hints that another secret is already waiting to emerge. In the quiet aftermath of everything that has unfolded, Salem feels different. The chaos may have slowed, but the emotional damage remains, lingering in every hallway, every home, and every relationship left standing. What was once familiar now feels uncertain, as characters attempt to move forward while carrying the weight of truths they can no longer escape. Some try to rebuild. Apologies are offered with sincerity, and tentative steps are taken toward forgiveness. But healing in Salem is never simple. Trust must be earned again, and for many, the fear of being hurt twice makes even the smallest act of vulnerability feel dangerous. A few relationships show signs of hope, strengthened by honesty, while others quietly drift apart, accepting that some things cannot be repaired. For those who lost the most, the pain settles in slowly. Regret becomes a constant companion, and moments of reflection bring harsh clarity. They replay past choices over and over, wondering how one decision led to so much destruction. In Salem, consequences don't fade, they linger, shaping the future in ways no one can predict. Loyalties continue to shift beneath the surface. Even as life appears to return to normal, new alliances are forming in silence. Trust is no longer given freely, and every interaction is measured carefully. Characters who once stood firmly on one side now question their own values, realizing that loyalty without truth is nothing more than blindness. Romantic connections remain fragile. Some couples choose to fight for what they still have, believing that love can survive even the most painful revelations. Others accept that walking away is the only way to protect themselves. The emotional scars left behind serve as a reminder that love in Salem is powerful, but never safe. A sense of unease begins to settle in as subtle hints suggest that not everything has been revealed. A look held too long, a conversation abruptly ended, a secretive exchange that feels just slightly off. It becomes clear that while one truth has been exposed, another may still be lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to surface. As the week comes to a close, Salem stands on uncertain ground. The fallout from exposed secrets has reshaped lives, tested loyalties, and left emotional wounds that will take time to heal. Yet even in the silence, danger and deception quietly stir, reminding everyone that peace in Salem is always temporary. And as the camera fades on familiar faces, one undeniable truth remains: in Days of Our Lives, the past is never truly behind you. Loyalty is always tested, and the next secret is already on its way to change everything once again. As the week in Salem finally draws to a close, the full impact of everything that has happened begins to settle in. The secrets that erupted have left permanent marks, reshaping lives and redefining relationships in ways that can never be undone. For some, the truth has brought clarity and a chance at redemption. For others, it has delivered consequences far heavier than they ever imagined. Characters reflect on the choices they made when it mattered most. Moments of honesty are weighed against acts of betrayal, and the realization sets in that every decision, no matter how small, played a role in where they now stand. In Salem, there are no innocent bystanders. Everyone is affected, and no one escapes the fallout untouched. Loyalties are now fully exposed for what they truly are. Some bonds prove stronger than expected, surviving the storm through sacrifice and understanding. Others collapse under the weight of deception, revealing that loyalty built on lies was never loyalty at all. These revelations change how characters see one another, forcing them to move forward with caution rather than trust. Love, as always, remains complicated. Some couples emerge bruised but still standing, committed to rebuilding what was nearly lost. Others accept painful goodbyes, realizing that holding on would only cause more damage. Hearts are broken, but in Salem, heartbreak often becomes the foundation for future transformation. The consequences of reckless decisions also come into focus. Actions taken in desperation echo loudly now, serving as a warning that control is an illusion and the truth always demands accountability. Regret lingers, but so does the opportunity for growth. The characters are brave enough to face it as calm slowly returns. An unmistakable tension remains in the air. Not every question has been answered. Not every secret has been revealed. A subtle shift in behavior, a guarded conversation, or a suspicious silence hints that a new storm is already forming beneath the surface. Salem may appear to be at peace, but the warning signs are impossible to ignore. The week ends not with closure, but with anticipation. The stage is set for the next chapter where new truths will emerge. Loyalties will once again be tested, and the cycle of love, betrayal, and redemption will continue. In Salem, endings are never final. They are simply the beginning of something even more dangerous. Because on Days of Our Lives, secrets always find their way into the light. And when they do, nothing is ever the same again.